The Biden administration is taking new steps to fast-track the release of unaccompanied children at the border to a parent or legal guardian in the U.S. This comes as we get a new look at video released today by Customs and Border Protection showing the processing facility in Donna, Texas, where most unaccompanied children are being held. Customs and Border Protection says this facility is temporary and constructed because of renovations at the processing center in McAllen, Texas. CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bojorquez reports from south of the border in Mexico.
This Guatemalan boy, believed to be about 6, was seen walking alone along the train tracks, crossing from Juarez into the United States. Many unaccompanied minors like him, who the Biden administration has allowed to stay while their cases are processed, end up in overcrowded facilities like this one in Donna, Texas. The administration plans to convert a convention center in San Diego into a 5th shelter to house migrant children.
This just shows how completely ill-prepared the Biden administration was for what's turned out to be an overwhelming tidal wave of the number of migrants who are coming across the border.
Republicans are demanding access to the minors who are being held. Texas Senator Ted Cruz is leading a group of senators to the border on Friday.
They're hoping nobody sees the tragic human cost of their failed policy.
Meanwhile, senior Biden administration officials are traveling to Mexico and Guatemala to discuss with government officials ways to reduce the number of migrants traveling to the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris said the administration inherited serious challenges.
We've got to treat this issue in a way that is reflective of our values as Americans and do it in a way that is fair and is humane. But we have to meet the moment, and there's a lot of work going into that.
On Monday, we met this Honduran family who had sought asylum in the United States after 2 hurricanes slammed the region last year. They had just been expelled from the U.S. I feel worried because you have a fear of being out on the streets, sleeping on the streets, he said. Some families say they're fleeing threats of violence in their home countries. Others simply that the pandemic has decimated their towns and work opportunities. The Biden administration says most families will not be allowed to stay. Manuel Bojorquez, CBS News, Juarez, Mexico.
For more on this, I want to bring in Sean Sullivan. He's a CBS News political contributor as well as a White House reporter at the Washington Post. Hi, Sean. Great to see you. So what is the Biden administration doing to address this surge of migrants at the border? And is it true, as Republicans are saying, that the administration was just woefully unprepared?
Well, Tanya, they're trying to do a few different things right now. And the biggest thing they're trying to do is send a sterner message to would-be migrants who are thinking about coming to the United States. And they're sending an increasingly blunt message of don't come. You know, a few weeks ago, we heard a message of don't come now. Now is not the time. But if you listen to the president, if you listen to his top advisors, they have taken a harder line right now. And they're trying to send that message that people should not be coming right now. The president has also dispatched some of his top advisors in his administration to Mexico and Guatemala. These advisors are going to be meeting with counterparts there in government, also people outside government, to try to discuss and address some of the causes for why people are coming to the United States. And there are a range of factors, economic conditions, natural disasters, a pandemic, of course, which has hurt everybody across the world. And then the third big thing that they're trying to do right now is they're trying to devise new ways that people can apply to come to the United States legally without just showing up at the border. They're trying to dissuade people from doing that. Now, we'll find out in the days and weeks ahead whether this actually works, because we've heard a lot of criticism, not just from Republicans, but from Democrats, activists, people across the board who have said that this administration's message, which the president sent as a candidate, and that message was, we are going to be a more open and humane nation than we were under the Trump administration. A lot of people believe that has fueled this surge that we're seeing, that this has encouraged people to come over. And so we'll see whether this shift in rhetoric actually changes things. As to how prepared the administration was, when you look at shelter capacity, when you look at their sort of scramble right now to try to figure out what to do with all these unaccompanied minors that they are allowing to enter the United States, who they are not turning away at the border. There's some serious questions raised about how prepared the administration was to deal with the sheer numbers of unaccompanied children that are arriving at the border. They have decided as a policy that they are not going to turn away unaccompanied children, but we're seeing right now they're sort of scrambling to try to figure out shelter capacity, places that they can take these children to, and how to swiftly get them into a more permanent home. These have been really, really challenging things for this administration, and things that have drawn a lot of criticism from both Democrats and Republicans who have said, look, they should have been more prepared to deal with this.
And Sean, as you mentioned, a group of senior Biden administration officials are traveling to Mexico and Guatemala to meet with leadership there to address some ways of reducing the number of migrants traveling to the U.S., from the beginning, right? How to keep them where they are. Are they also addressing the fact that there are coyotes or, cartel members who are sort of advertising now is the time, right? That they're spreading the word that this is the time to come to the U.S. because obviously it benefits them. They charge for leading people up to the border. Any update on whether there are plans to address that, and on whether the president himself will visit the border soon, as he said that he planned to do?
Well, the administration's trying to address that. The big question is how effective their efforts are actually going to be, because it is a very, very difficult thing. And you're right. People are not hearing just from the president himself, just from his administration and his allies and his aides, but they are hearing from smugglers. They are hearing from cartels. They are hearing from friends and family informally that, hey, now is a good time to come. There has been a shift in the United States between the policies of the Trump administration and the policies of the Biden administration. And so they're hearing a lot of messages about why this is a good time to come. And that's what's challenging for this administration. We heard yesterday Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, talk about some steps that they've taken to try to reach a lot of these people in Central American countries. He talked about advertising that the administration has been doing on radio, also through social media, to try to encourage people not to come. But it's a really, really hard thing, especially when they're hearing from, any number of different avenues, people, friends, relatives, others saying, this is a good time to come. That's the challenge for the administration right now. As to whether we'll see this president go to the border anytime soon, that is an open question. We haven't seen any indication from the White House that there are imminent plans for him to make that trip. But there certainly is growing pressure, not just from Republicans, but from Democrats, for him to focus on this, if not necessarily to go to the border himself. Right now we're seeing the president in the midst of this national tour to promote the COVID relief bill that he passed. They've been very, very focused on that at the White House. But increasingly, they're going to have to deal with the situation at the border. They're getting pressure, again, not just from political opponents, but from within their own party to do more, to change the message, to be more aggressive on this front, to come up with a more comprehensive plan. And each day that goes by is a day we see more and more pressure build on this president, on this administration. So a very, very difficult thing that they're dealing with right now, and a lot of daily criticism coming their way from both parties.
Absolutely. Well, Sean Sullivan, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanya.